Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is war with NATO, the United States, and Russia. And Russia is threatening to use nuclear weapons. And I had to say, with a good reason, actually. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, let me give you an overview because there's so many things happening in so many different directions. If you don't get an overview, then you might miss it. Sometimes the details, well, as you've heard, you get lost in the details. Well, I got to give you an overview, okay, to start with this. On 6/7 of 2023, the angel Gabriel, and I believe her, and 4 other angels visited Vicky Parnell, blew a trumpet 3 times. Terry Bennett said the same thing happened to him, and proclaimed, "The battle rages. No more delays, it will now begin." Cannot tell you how many times through the years people have said, yeah, well, a lot of these things, these prophecies, these people have been saying haven't come to pass. Well, I didn't understand. They were warnings. Warnings, in other words, like, okay, if you keep going on this road, you're going to get a nail in the tire, you're going to get a flat. But if you'll turn right at the stop sign, there's another way you can go, and you don't have to get that nail in your tire. In other words, this is what you need to be praying against. These are prayer topics. Well, what it's saying is a lot of those prayer topics didn't get prayed away and are now becoming prophecies. So the difference between a warning is it's coming your way if you don't pray it away. And a prophecy is when we didn't pray it away, we didn't repent it away, so consequently what God warned has arrived. What it's saying is a lot of things that God has been warning for at least 40 years that I know of, is now arriving. Also, you have to understand that what's really going on is the good guys are in the process of kicking out the bad guys out of the financial house. These are the guys that have owned the financial control of the world for at least 300 years we know of. Truth be known, probably all the way back to the pyramids and the pharaohs. And the good guys are trying to kick them out of the financial house. I believe they will, but I believe it'll only be briefly, and that's going to be part of the internal revolution, which will be the fall of America. The Republican House is saying that they are demanding to see the smoking gun document that proves that President Biden, and I have to wash my mouth out when I say that, Biden is actually guilty of taking a $5 million bribe, in other words, to, as they call it, pay to play. Well, it's not pay to play, it's bribery. Okay, I'm going to give you this money and we ask you to do this. That's bribery. And then, of course, at the same time, Trump is now being indicted by the second outfit. So he's now got 2 indictments against him. See, that's the way devil works. Devil says, yeah, well, we did something wrong, but so did you. And that worked real fine for everybody except Jesus because Jesus didn't have any sin. So when the devil gets caught doing something wrong, he just points the finger and says, well, you do wrong too. And the problem is we all do, except Jesus, of course. So what is really going on is because the Republican House is saying, we want to see the document, we want proof so that we can indict and remove Biden from the White House. So they're attacking Trump, and they've been attacking Trump since he came down the escalator. Now, let's go on. Keep that in mind. The bad guys have also said, we've ruled this planet for thousands of years and we will destroy it rather than give it up. And they are serious. Now, what does that mean? Well, NATO is, as I am, well, actually it started yesterday. It started Sunday. I'm recording this Monday morning at 11:37. Well, the NATO exercise actually started yesterday. It's conducting the largest exercise since World War II in a mock attack on Russia. Some say it may not be a mock attack or an exercise. It may actually be an attack on Russia. I think we know from the prophecies it's not. But you see, that's the way the evil guys work. They threaten to destroy the planet, basically saying, you let us continue to rule you or we're going to destroy you. And this is part of the destruction. In other words, if they can get NATO to attack Russia, then that would, at the end of the day, destroy America. Senators have been issued satellite phones in case the comms go down. This is all part of the threats. But the real problem is that the good guys are trying to kick the bad guys out of the financial house. That's the real situation. Russia has said that if NATO does this, if America does this, or this, we will use nuclear weapons. So they have openly drawn some lines in the sand, and sad to say that America, in most cases, has already crossed those lines in the sand. 4 days until the NATO exercise begins. Obviously, this is about 3 or 4 days old, but it's important, so let's read it. Article 5 of the NATO treaty was activated. Within hours, hundreds of fighter jets from the U.S. and NATO transferred Germany to fly against Russia. That's one of the red lines. Russia says don't do that, but NATO and America is doing it. Nuclear-capable F-35 stealth aircraft are prepped for deployment. The first hours of a major war have dawned. This scenario is the basis for the upcoming NATO Air Defender 23 exercise, which takes place from the 12th, as I'm recording this, it is the 12th, to the 24th of June. The air war is simulated against an imaginary enemy, Russia, who himself has a potent air force. The real meaning of the exercise is clear to anyone with a brain. They're talking about Russia. The maneuver is carried out according to the principle, train as you fight. Everything should be as realistic as possible. Germany becomes the central hub of the exercise. Countless NATO jets start and swarm out of German airfields. The fight routes of the fighter planes will test are just as realistic. They lead to the eastern borders of the NATO area, the Russian and the Ukrainian borders. An accident with Russian military aircraft, misguided navigation, anything like that, you got war. Russia air surveillance is forced to pursue NATO activities. The escalation potential of the Ukrainian military strike while NATO jets are patrolling nearby is obvious in this situation. So it is a possibility that NATO and Russia are about to go to war. But the prophecies say it's not yet. Prophecies say it will happen. Russia will attack America in a surprise nuclear attack, but not yet. Let's keep going. The federal government is not only willing to accept these enormous risks, but it also even suspends the usual security measures, seems like Russian observers who could ensure that the exercise is not being used to prepare for attack are not invited. In other words, this could be an attack on Russia. Russia has to take it. Since you're not inviting our buddies to sit on the decks of your ships to know that you're not really attacking us, this is just a war exercise, they're not letting them do that now. In other words, this has the earmarks of a possible war. I don't think that what's really going on is they're trying to kick the Molochs out of the financial house. So this is what they're doing, is threatening, we're going to destroy you if you don't let us continue to rule you. We will not write them a letter. We will understand the news when our planes swarm out, which apparently now has probably by this point already happened. The federal government appears to be doing everything it can to drive an escalation. In other words, to start a war between America, NATO, and Russia. To start everything it can to drive an escalation and increase the risk that the exercise could become war, basically. It is probable that the Ukraine army and state is on the verge of collapse. Because of that, it is time to decide. Either NATO enters officially into the conflict or Ukraine is defeated. Of course, best moment to attack Russian army would be when all NATO equipment personnel are in Europe and are practicing the type of scenario just as they are doing even as I speak. History shows the U.S. federal government is perfectly willing to engage in such treachery as they have done numerous times before. I will read. World War II, the Roosevelt administration knew the Japanese were actually coming to attack Pearl Harbor. They knew in advance. You may not have heard that. I've heard that many times. While they told us the U.S. military, you may be attacked, but there was no ironclad statement, and the attack was already on its way. The Japanese attack on December 7, 1941 caused the date to live in infamy. The American military was used as cannon fodder to get hit and killed, bringing America into the war. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was an actual fabrication by the U.S. to get us into the Vietnam War. I heard what actually was going on is the Vietnamese were not cooperating with the growing manufacturing and transfer of drugs. And so they had to go in and send the U.S. military in there to take over Vietnam to get control of the drug trafficking. Now, again, I can't prove that, but it sounds reasonable. The former Secretary of State, Colin Powell, sat at a UN security meeting, held up a glass of jar of anthrax, and told Security Council members that Saddam Hussein of Iraq had tons of this bioweapon and could destroy half the world. Into Iraq we went. We destroyed much of Iraq, searched high and low, but guess what? No weapons of mass destruction were found. It's all lies. So our Christian country is often using lies, attacking or getting them to attack, to get us into a war. Why? Because the biggest business in the world is the business of war. Making aircraft, making bombs, and the people that make them make lots and lots of money. They don't care about the bloodshed. They want the money. Why? Because they want to control the world. They want to use that money to take over everything. Why? So that they can put their man, the Antichrist, on the throne. So everybody has to bend the knee, so that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark in the name of the beast. Okay. 2014, the U.S. and the EU fomented, incited, and facilitated the forcible overthrow of Ukraine's president. Then funded a puppet government favorable to the West. The U.S. and EU want to place American missiles on Ukraine's soil, with a 5-minute or so flight time to Moscow. You know, America's not really wanting to go to war with Russia. These are Molochs and high places, evil, evil, evil beyond our understanding, that is threatening us, saying, you let us rule you, you let us have all the money, all the control, all of the power, or we will kill you. We will destroy you. That's what the devil does. He does not come but for to kill, steal, and to destroy. Then in December 2021, Russia tried to negotiate ironclad, legally enforceable security guarantees. The West laughed and basically threw Russia's diplomatic proposals in the trash can. That good Christian nation of America, not so Christian anymore, are we? The Russians tried again, and only this time warning that if Russia could not obtain ironclad, legally enforceable security guarantees via diplomatic means, they would attain them via military or military technical means, meaning we'll use nukes. That's what they're really saying. Then February 24, 2022, after giving Ukraine a 5-hour ultimatum that they went unanswered, then the Russian army finally went into Ukraine. The West was mortified. It was never within the realm of their possibility that Russia would actually do what Russia said they were going to do. We are, over a year later, the war rages, hundreds of thousands dead. Now NATO is preparing for the largest air defensive exercise in history, right next to the Russian-Ukrainian war, major conflict, and where any misstep can open the hellscape of World War III. In other words, this is evil people that rule us financially, threatening us. If we kick them out of their financial house, they're going to destroy us. That's what's really going on. You'll never hear that on most of the programs out there, because if you don't understand Bible prophecy, if you don't understand where they're really heading and their really objective is, then you're not going to see it. You only see what's happening now. You don't see down the road. But as prophecy students, we got an edge. We know their objective, so that he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. That's what Lucifer wants. All of this is working toward that. So, as I said, what's really going on? The good guys are threatening to bring a new good guy currency system in, which will kick the bad guys out of the ownership and control of the world financial system. The bad guys are racing, trying to bring in the FedNow, or the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, online before the good guys can implement theirs. That's what's really going on. No one else is going to tell you that. They don't understand that. They don't know that. We have been ruling this planet for 1,000 years. We'll destroy it rather than give it up, and that's what they're doing. They're threatening, saying, if you take us out of our financial house, if you take our ability to control your finances away, we will get Russia to attack you. We will put you in war. There's more. The following are all threats to the good guys, saying, if you bring us this online, we will kill millions of people. We'll bring a virus. We'll devalue the dollar. We'll use scalar wave to cause your climate and tornadoes and all of that sort of stuff. Food shortage, suitcase nukes, Russia to nuke America. All of these are all threats. Some of them we know that the prophecies say are coming. But some of them say they're not coming immediately. But what is coming? NATO base, civilians all gone. This is very important. This is June 10th. Received this intel from near Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. This was an email, apparently. He says, I live about 30 kilometers from the Ramstein Air Force Base, and for the past few days, all civilians and families of Americans stationed at the base have all been removed, or they're on vacation. It's too many people. This simply cannot be a coincidence. Something is wrong with this. Okay, an entire Air Force base evacuated. Now remember, these guys have a time machine. They also have a looking glass. They know what is coming. So when they do this, they either know it's coming and they are preparing for it, or they're using it as a threat. And I think they're using it as a threat, saying, don't take us out of our financial house. Let's go on. I think that has to do with the NATO exercise Air Defender 2023 starting Sunday through Monday. I think it is not an exercise. I think they know Ramstein is going to be hit, and they got all their civilians out. I'm worried. He says this is the weekend when it all starts. Now, we know it's coming, but we also know that it's not time for Russia to hit America yet. We've covered that, so I'll move on. U.S. is implementing a plan to evacuate Americans from Taiwan. Okay, so that was Ramstein Air Force Base in Taiwan, or excuse me, in Germany. Now they're also doing the same thing in Taiwan. The Biden government is further refining evacuation plans for American citizens living in Taiwan. Found out this morning the plane has been underway for at least 6 months. It's heated up, but over the last 2 months or so. Forces building up, China aligning with Russia and Ukraine, and more than 80,000 Americans are in Taiwan. They've asked them to get out. Now, I covered this a couple of days ago, but it fits, so I'm going to bring it in. So in my prayer closet a couple of weeks ago, I asked the Lord to speak to either Leslie or to Pastor Massey, because I know Pastor Massey does not follow Prophecy Club. He's not a prophecy student. He's a miracles ministry guy. So I said, Lord, speak to him. Tell me what is coming, either him or Leslie. So he calls 2 days later. I had a dream. So I quickly started typing. He says, I went to Costco for gasoline. They were out. I called AAA. They brought me a couple of gallons, just enough to get me home. I said, I need more than this. And they said, well, we cannot give you more gas, only enough to get home because no more gasoline is coming. The same night, I had another dream where I saw an earthquake. I saw homes falling, and then there was no food, no gasoline, then no food. Now, okay, so are you saying that the Molochs, you're talking about the evil, they can cause earthquakes? Yes, they can. Well, can they take away our gasoline and our food? Yes, they can. Remember, we ruled this planet for thousands of years. We'll destroy it rather than give it up. Will they take away our gasoline, our food, cause earthquakes? Yes, they will. So that's what's really going on. Like Gabriel said to Vicky Parnell, the battle is raging. It's a spiritual battle. It may be raging right now more than it has raged in, I don't know, maybe 1,000, maybe even 2,000 years. Very, very big battle. Let's go on. Let me refresh your memory. I'm not going into the details here, but we have 33 prophecies that say suitcase nukes are coming. I would say when the Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses let a thing be established, I would say that's like concrete. That's coming. But we still got to pray it away. We got to pray a delay or a softening at least. 17 says that there's going to be a big earthquake that's probably caused by a meteor and also brings a tsunami. 14 says food shortage. 11 says the dollar's going to fall. 7 says the Russians going to attack America in a surprise nuclear attack. And now 2 that say there's not going to be any gasoline. UFO crashes in Las Vegas. Stan, does this have anything to do with it? Oh, yes, absolutely it does. UFO crashes in Las Vegas. Police body cam captures mysterious event as residents report encounter with non-human beings. We've talked about this. See, this is part of their deception. They want to have what they're going to say, these are our space brothers. And they've come down to help mankind. And I think that, the devil never starts off with who the devil is. He doesn't come to your front door, he comes to the back door. He sneaks in a window. So what they'll probably do is say, oh, they're here to help us. And they'll bring out all kinds of cures for diseases and healings and miracles and all. I mean, remember this, that the false prophet can call fire from the sky in the face of all men, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the first beast. So they're going to use this as a deception. And then once everybody's saying, oh, well, I don't know what I was so afraid of. These UFOs, they brought wonderful technology. I mean, they've got fast computers. They've got ways to heal us. This is just wonderful. And then we discover that there's a dark side. And then the guy that heads it all up stands up and says, this guy right here, he's the real God. This Jesus over here, he's the real God. And it's all a big deception. Let's read it. As Las Vegas, Nevada family says they saw very large non-human beings in the backyard just moments after an unidentified object crashed into the backyard. Class is reporting that on April 30th, around 11:50 p.m., a strange object was recorded on Las Vegas Metro Police body cam while streaking through the sky, presumably crashing near the family's home. Now, you probably heard about this by now. While on the phone with emergency dispatch, the seemingly frightened caller reported, they're like 8 or 9 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, a big mouth, they're shiny eyes, and they're human. They're not 100%, he says, they're not 100% human. The police arrived. And so it goes on to, let me show you the video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because a lot of it's irrelevant. I do think it's interesting that they did not release the body cam when the officer went in the backyard where the alien and the spacecraft were supposed to be. So anyway, I do think it probably really happened. I think we're going to probably see more of this. Here's a short video on it.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Someone calls 911 reporting 2 large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm still nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
I'm going to show you something you've never seen or tasted before. I'm doing this impromptu. I just went out to my own bread machine and I pulled this out. This is a loaf I made Saturday. This is my famous raisin, cinnamon, vanilla. This new loaf, the whole loaf would weigh about 3 pounds. Of course, I've already eaten about half of it. But I want to show you why you have never tasted this. Each one of these slices, you can see how thick it is. One of these slices is a meal. You eat one of these in the morning, one in the afternoon, and not only are you satisfied, you're really satisfied. You're really happy. Cinnamon, raisin, vanilla, and yes, at josephkitchen.com, you can get the recipe. This is an upgraded recipe that I plan to be putting out here as soon as I get a chance. But if you look close, those are raisins, cinnamon, and vanilla all whipped together. You put that into a toaster, put a little bit of butter on that, and, well, it doesn't last long at church. As a matter of fact, they pass by all of the nice donuts and all of the other sweet garbage to get something that's really good for them. Now, what I would suggest you do is start making your own bread, whether you've already got Joseph's Kitchen or whether you haven't, get it. Now, here's what you do. You go to josephskitchen.com. Two things. One, you order a machine package. That's the mechanicals to make it. In other words, the grinder that takes the wheat berries, turns it into flour, which you put into the bread machine with 6 other ingredients. Push a button. 2 hours and 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Won't look like this because this one has raisin, cinnamon, and honey in it. Anyway, extra honey. And the next thing you want to do is decide how much food you want to have. You want to have 6 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year, or just enough for one person. All of that is at the price of around $1,000 per person. Get you some homemade whole wheat bread. Why have you never tasted this? Because the grocery stores cannot and will never be able to offer this, because in about 7 to 10 days after you break the wheat berry, it starts going bad. Now, I know that I'm going to have to eat this in the next 7 to 10 days, but I also know it's probably not going to last more than 3 or 4 days. As a matter of fact, it's one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life, and I can't guarantee this. I can't say it legally, but let's put it this way. I've been taken off of my I've been taken off of my high blood pressure pills, and the doctor said that I have low cholesterol now, cut my cholesterol pill in half. And the only thing I can say is over the last year, I started eating whole wheat bread. So there it is, whole wheat bread. josephskitchen.com. Terry Saka with CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. So what's going on in the world of finances? Why should they call today?
Well, China has laid out in a speech a few weeks ago exactly what they think of the United States. I haven't seen that in my 55 years. With China and Russia forming these reserve currencies, new reserve currency, we better be prepared, because that dollar is going to be in deep trouble and we're going to need assets to protect us from it.
CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Call them or go online, CornerstoneAssetMetals.com, or call them at 888-747-3309. 888-747-3309. I am having another Level 2 School of the Watchmen's Conference, and I'm calling this a teacher's course. It's going to be September 15 and 16. You can go to prophecyclub.com, and it'll tell you all of the details about it. And it gives you all of the requirements. I'll let you read that online. However, the big question is, you're going to be saying, well, what's the difference between Level 1 and Level 2? Well, lots. Level 1 was primarily reading through most of the book of Revelation and teaching it. That's not be Level 2. Yes, we will do some reading, but this one is designed to make you a teacher of Bible prophecy, which, by the way, our office wants to know if you went through Level 1 and if you have taught or have been invited to teach from the book of Revelation and you went through Level 1, send me an email. I'd like to know that. I know there's been at least one. I think there's 2, maybe more. Anyway, I'd like to know. So Level 2 is to teach you to the point to where you can be qualified to actually teach the book of Revelation. Now, I can tell you right up front, we're going to have a Level 3, God willing. And in that one, I'm going to require people to memorize the book of Revelation to come to Level 3. And so there's going to be 1 year's difference between Level 2 and Level 3. It took me a year to memorize it, so I figure it'll take you a year to memorize it. Some of you may even faster. So go to prophecyclub.com, and it'll give you all the details, tells you all about some of the difficult questions and things like that we're going to cover in Level 2. Level 2 is going to get you real close to being a qualified teacher of Revelation. But by the time you get through Level 3, having memorized the book, pastor's going to listen to you. And that's where we're going with this. Also, I'd recommend you go and get yourself a Berkey water filter. And yes, we do have Berkeys all in stock now. Also, we have potassium iodate pills, which are what you take inside of once a radioactive unit has happened in your area. As far as Berkey water filters, this is one thing you want to be sure to do is get some extra filters. This is the minimum most people will get, is this one right here. I get the Crown Berkey right here. This is the one I have, this one I use. And I have about 8 extra filters with me too, because if you're using clean water, they'll last a year or two. But if you're using rainwater or muddy water, then they clog up a whole lot faster. So you want to have some extra filters. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word Prophecy, you get a $50 discount. What is that? Well, it looks like this. This is the one that goes into a car, okay? And you put the red wire to the red side of the battery, you put the black wire to the black side of the battery, and the green one attaches to the body of the car. Then you peel it off right back here. Just peel that off, stick it inside of the engine compartment of your car. And the whole point is, when the electricity goes off, or when some kind of a suitcase nuke or a nuclear device goes off, this is supposed to be able to stop that device from destroying every computer chip in your car. Because if every computer chip is destroyed in your car these days, you couldn't possibly replace them all. Throw the car away. So, EMPShield.com, promo code Prophecy.